this weekend. We'll see. So anyway, have you had a good day?
Yeah, it's been a great day. A lot of rain, but hopefully that clears up for a little after work walk.
Great. Well, I think we are ready to start here, Olivia. So welcome everyone who's joining us today on LinkedIn Live. I'm Catherine Gamble, Vice President of Gail Perry Group, and I have with me today Olivia Perino, who is our Client Services Manager, works with every single one of our consulting clients. So we're going to talk about today a little bit. Olivia and I have a conversation to talk a little bit about a real key pain point for many people who are major gift officers and doing major gift work. And that is the many times that you may be pulled aside or pulled away from that important major gift work to do various admin work or tasks that you are assigned to do, such as planning a fundraising an event or doing some type of fundraising communications, writing an annual report. That happens. We hear that a lot. And that creates kind of a opportunity cost, if you will, because and I'll just define opportunity cost because I think it'll be helpful. Really, that's loss of potential gain from one alternative because you chose another alternative, or in this case, a task or a job or role. So I would also say too, to set this up, and then I'm going to toss it over to Olivia, that major gift fundraising has the highest return on investment of any fundraising strategy available to you. Again, highest return on investment. So what happens when you choose that alternative and that opportunity cost kicks in, what happens is you lower the return on that investment. So Olivia, share with us some of the things you've experienced in your work and what you see some of those alternatives are that are chosen that reduce that return on investment.
Yes, Catherine, and oh, do I have experience with this? And we see it so much with so many of our different clients as well. And I think even taking a step back, I think acknowledging the change in the workplace landscape since the peak of COVID is important, or as I like to refer to it as workplace AC, that after COVID. But, within the last 5 years, most organizations, they've experiencing hiring freezes and then the great resignation. So it's important to ask yourself, are there blurred lines where a job description should be? When was the last time you did a role audit with your team? And is there role clarity? Is your team made up of the right people doing the right things with their skill set? I remember when before this role, I was in annual fund, and I would put so many restrictions on reports that I would send to MGOs because that's not their skill set. All of a sudden columns are over here, information's getting deleted. Their skill set is relationship building and revenue generating. So like Catherine said, protecting their time isn't just a courtesy thing. It's protecting your organization. Your donors would lose touch points. So it's really asking yourself, what's the alternative to not doing this work and making sure that your MGOs are constantly on the road, out of the office, talking to donors. And like you said, Catherine, it is that lower fundraising ROI is going to stand out as the biggest one. But then you also get into, turnover and burnout and your staff going through those different changes, everything from data entry and CRMs that NGOs are working on. The event aspect is another one that we hear a lot of with our clients. So, understanding that and reorganizing your team is step number one with this for sure.
Absolutely, Olivia. And it's really important to know that one of the things, especially, so some people out there may be saying, well, we're just a small shop. We all have to do everything. Well, maybe you really need to take a little time and look at the fundraising strategies you're employing, because if you're a small shop, you can't do everything. But I will say you can do major gifts, and that is really, really important that you spend time really focused on those relationship building activities, seeing donors face to face, talking to them by phone or Zoom. We have so many modes of communicating now, as you say, after COVID, Olivia, that I think we have a lot more options to really have these wonderful conversations and wonderful opportunities to engage and learn more about what really is motivating these people to make gifts. And will they consider something for your organization? It's really important. So again, so people also may be saying, well, then, yes, I've got this problem. I've got this lovely portfolio of maybe 100 donors or so that I would love to see all the time. And I just got asked to do the annual report. Well, you might need to show how much the annual report delivers to your organization financially versus the value of your portfolio and what the opportunity is for the fundraising that you may do. You literally have to sometimes really draw a picture for those in leadership of your organization and be part of helping them make the really right decision about your time. Now, if they come back and say, oh, absolutely, we want you to do all that lovely major gift work, guess what? You have got to hold yourself accountable and actually get the work done, which is really important also. And so let me add this. I think it's like Gail said recently when she and I were on here, this is sponsored by a program that we have now at Gail Perry Group. So our Major Gift Officer Boot Camp starts September 11th. And in that boot camp, you will learn some of the very things that we're talking about, really how to focus your time. And we'll talk about that here in a minute too, Olivia. But if you have any interest, you'd like to learn more, please go to our website and you can learn a little more. I think there's going to be a link to that in the stream that we're doing now. So let's talk a little bit, Olivia, about how you really help get your gift officers doing what they need to do. Let's talk about that portfolio and make it a prioritization.
Absolutely. And even the portfolio, absolutely, that's the highest priority. But how do we take all of the other tasks that need to be happening? Is there an annual plan for all of those annual appeals, the emails, all of those great work? How is that automated so that the portfolio does become the full focus of an MGO? And how do we make sure that there is strategy in place for every individual donor, like you said, Catherine, making sure that that portfolio is 100 as well. And there's a lot of strategy behind having a smaller portfolio. We all know it. I mean, in today's world, there's so many things coming at us. How do we prioritize the top thing? So how do we, there's overwhelming amount of information out of there. How do we simplify this and get the greatest ROI in those portfolios?
Right. And I will say too, as you become really productive with your portfolio, or just to simplify that, your list of top prospects is another way to describe your portfolio. Is that you will start bringing in those commitments to your organization, and it will make a difference. And people will start asking you when you're going to get more, which you can also determine. Olivia and I were just on with one of our campaign clients talking about this very thing. They were doing some prospecting through their well screening, and we were sitting there talking with them about how to prioritize it, and they're really good at this too, I might add, how to prioritize this, how to kind of go to the lowest hanging fruit, if you will, how to identify that. These are things we'll also talk about in our boot camp this fall in much greater detail than we are today. But these are things that will help you be more effective and really be able to, people aren't going to wonder why you're going out and calling on donors. They're going to know why you're going out and calling on donors. So there's ways to report this back to your leadership in very simple ways that actually help them see and inform them about what it means to be a productive major gift officer. That we also see in some clients that there's such a priority on raising immediate cash that everything kind of gets prioritized to the cash thing. Major gifts is a little bit longer game, a little more donor centered than other fundraising strategies, in that the major gift donor may make a larger commitment and pay it over a number of years. So it's not looked at quite the same way as our more cash-based fundraising. And that's another thing where education for your leadership team, education for your whole development team, because people specialize in various areas of fundraising, such as annual giving versus major gifts. Both are needed, very much so. And that, leads to, an opportunity again to talk to everyone about what everybody's doing. So that kind of collaboration, I think, Olivia, is also important, when you think.
Oh, absolutely. And that kind of goes back to making sure you have the right folks in the right seats. And to your point, Catherine, when you are that NGO and you are bringing in commitments, No one's going to ask you to do why you didn't have that one event that has to happen every year. You know what I mean? So when the money can talk, so let it talk and let those commitments come in that and craft your own position in that way. When you spend all your time talking to donors and that's what you're here to do, no one's going to question that.
That's true. And and again, there's ways to report on the activity of with your portfolio or your list of major gift prospects in a way that people understand that it isn't a check every week. That's going to be some space in between commitments, depending on the size of your portfolio and the capacity and again, affinity of your major gift donors. But over time, that's really going to pay back. Again, it pays back significantly. The cost of dollar raised in major gift land is somewhere between 5 and 10 cents. 5 and 10 cents per dollar, and which is the lowest cost of fundraising strategies out there. Whereas an event, usually on a good day, is about 50 cents on the dollar. So you can see your returns over time add up, and you want your development operation to be efficient and to be effective and contribute to your organization in a meaningful way. And keep in mind, it is a profit center, your fundraising. So a lot of times your leadership will look at things as just how much it costs, and somebody has to do it, and that kind of thing. So there's a question where you have a beleaguered fundraiser. What do you say when they're asked to do all these other jobs? I really think you can be really well armed with the ROI conversation. And again, the cost per dollar raised, these things cost more. And Olivia, you were talking about technology. What else is something that someone could say to their leadership around how they're being pulled away from major gifts?
Yeah, that depends on in what way you're being pulled away, but there are ways to leverage technology. I remember in a past role, I was being asked to do donor acknowledgements, which was a weekly, took about 5 hour manual reporting process. And that was something outside of what my normal job was. And I was able to build out automated reports through our CRM to send weekly emails to each MGO's inbox 8:30 Monday morning. They were getting their list of folks who gave within the last week. So fine, and that's going to look different for every CRM, but finding ways to leverage technology to kind of get you out of some of those more administrative spaces.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I'll also add, again, talk about return on investment. If you have your list of major donors or your portfolio, however you describe it, it's interchangeable words there. And you have some value or target for that portfolio and how much you think you're going to get committed in a particular time frame. It's not, it'd all be estimates, which is just fine, and you're asked to do some other job that doesn't have that return, you really can literally show someone when you have your time committed to something that has a low return to your organization potentially, or a lower return than your major gift, you can show them what they may be missing by diverting you to something else. I mean, literally show them the dollars. I have done that in my career when I was also a beleaguered fundraiser, as someone has described it. And this is important. And literally talk to the person I report to say that changing that investment of my time, which ultimately is also my salary, into a low performing return activity versus what I was being paid to do, that has a high return, is an opportunity cost to the organization. And which do you really want?
Which
I
is a
got,
good point
yeah.
of just making sure you're reminding leaders that you're in a revenue generating position. So what is currently on your plate as being revenue generating? And that can be everything from what is your goal as an MGO and how every month are you tracking towards that goal? Was there, I don't even, what month are we in? August? Was there a couple events in August that slowed that progress? You can show that as well.
Right. That's a great point. So I think that is excellent advice. And you just have to it's like anything, you just kind of have to keep dripping that information out back. It may take more than one conversation with your the person you report to or whoever you need to speak about this, to keep them till they really understand about this with the return. And also, as you're starting to make progress with your portfolio and bringing in gifts, that's also going to begin to demonstrate when people see those big dollars that major gifts bring in, the major gift activity, they will stop asking you to do these other things. So it's a little bit of a push at the beginning. You really have to prove you're doing the activity. This is really important. You need to be tracking how many times you've been in touch with a donor and had conversations, so you can say, um, you can say to somebody, I'm making all these calls this month. I'm making 20 calls this month. This is really important, plus the follow-up and the prep. So yes, so we have another question.
I was thinking the same thing. Yes, without that leadership buy-in, and again, I'll keep harping on it of going back to making sure that there are the right people in the right seats, because that does start with leadership buy-in. Having a role audit, that starts with leadership buy-in. Making sure those right folks are doing the right things with their skill set. That goes back to leadership buy-in. Catherine, what else would you like to?
So true. And we have all kinds of charts and things in our work with our client work, but the cost per dollar raised by fundraising strategy, a lot of higher ups, as they've been characterized here, really think of fundraising as one thing. Like it's all one thing. Like it doesn't take different skill sets, as Olivia has talked about, with the right people in the right seats. That strategies of fundraising have different returns. If you are dependent on your accounting department to pull a fundraising report, you need to rethink how you're demonstrating your fundraising results to your leadership. That's a whole nother thing. But that's really important. The more you can educate everyone around you, and especially the higher ups in your organization, about how fundraising works, how each strategy impacts the organization a little differently, and how they relate to one another, and what the results are, and what kind of level of activity it takes to yield those results, those higher ups will become your best partners in the process. It really is. So let me just say again, I think we're drawing here to the end. Again, check out the Major Gift Officer Bootcamp on our website. We'd love to have you join us this fall. Seats are filling up really fast. I just got another update today of about 4 more people who joined yesterday. The faculty for our Major Gift Officer Bootcamp will be our consulting team. Olivia's a member of that team, as I am. As others you will hear from, I think Evan Northup was on last week. I think Chuck Davis is coming up in another week or two on LinkedIn Live. So you have the best of the best of the best as your faculty, who not only practice this with our consulting clients, but also have years of experience in this very work, major gift work, at many institutions throughout their careers. So we hope you'll join us. And Olivia, this has been a great conversation. You've offered some great advice today.
Always love talking to you, Catherine.
All right.